That punk pulled a Glock 7 on me. You know what that is? It's a porcelain-made gun in Germany. It doesn't show up on your airport x-ray machines here, and it costs more than you make in a month. That was my worst John McClane impersonation ever, and he didn't quite get that correct on the Glock. Alright, so Glock has been around since 1982, so of course you know it's got to show up in some of your favorite action movies. That's from Die Hard 2, if you don't know, by the way, and obviously horribly inaccurate. So I know a lot of you guys are going, whoa, brown coat nerd. Dang, another modern gun. So this is something I've been wanting to get for a while. I'll dive into that a little bit more specifically later in the video for you that don't care. But I needed a modern carry gun, long story short. And I know a lot of people might be like, why did you just now get the 43? Why didn't you get the 43X or the new SIG or the new Smith & Wesson? They just came out with the CSX too. You've got a lot of options out there on these smaller single stack 9s or faux single stack 9s like the SIG. But this one I did specifically want mainly just so I have the option of having the shorter grip. So that is why I went with the 43. I know I'm like years late to the show on this Glock here. But for you guys that don't know exactly what this is the Glock 43. It's a striker-fired single-stack 9mm. The mags that come with are 6, so you have 6 + 1 capacity. The barrel is 3.4 inches. The gun weight unloaded is just over a pound, so it's nice and light. Now the trigger pull on this, a lot of the videos and reviews I've read say that it's 5 pounds straight out of the box. Some people have said theirs is a little bit lighter. My trigger pull on this one, an average of 5 pulls came in at 4 pounds 3 ounces. A couple of those pulls were like right at 5 pounds, and then a few of those pulls were like at 3 pounds. So that quite a bit of a varying weight there, but that's the average was at 4 pounds 3 ounces. I'm curious to see how this ends up once I actually shoot this some, because if I haven't mentioned yet, I have not yet had the chance to shoot this. So I'm curious to see if it lightens up even more, or if at the very least it becomes a little bit more consistent, which is my main concern on that trigger. I don't plan on replacing the trigger on this, yet I do know that is an option. I have some friends that are big into Glocks, and they've put in aftermarket triggers on theirs, and I've felt those, and those are really nice crisp breaks, really nice short resets. I do like them. But this being a carry gun, I don't necessarily need, a very light competition trigger. As a matter of fact, I don't want that. 4 pounds on the trigger with no manual safety is like perfect. That's exactly where I want it. I would just like it for it to be a consistent pull. So yes, I know I'm late to the game on this. This particular one, as you can see, is actually made in USA. I was a little shocked when I went to pick this up, and I was looking at this, and I was like, oh, I guess the 43s are made here in the US. I didn't even really think about that. This is the first Glock in my collection. I did do a P80 build. I've got a video on that. It did not turn out the best, but it definitely kind of sparked my interest a little bit more on Glock. But that's really my only experience with Glock. So I was a little bit surprised to see that this one was made in the U.S. Looking around and doing a little bit of research afterwards, I discovered, yes, there is now a plant in the U.S., and they're making more than just the 43 model. The majority of images and videos I've seen are specifically for the Model 43. The majority of those do seem to come out of Austria, and so obviously, therefore, it will say Austria right there rather than USA. But also keep in mind that those videos are like 6 years old. So the majority of the 43s you see on the shelf now are probably American-made ones, I would just assume. Did a little bit of looking around, too. I was kind of seeing if anyone was complaining about quality control on the American-made ones compared to the Austrian ones. I didn't really come across anything. Like, I know in Beretta, you can get the 92 in the U.S. as a U.S.-made one or as an Italian-made one. And I think for a while, like, the only difference was the American-made ones had a polymer guide rod rather than steel. and like a polymer coated metal trigger rather than an all metal trigger. I didn't find anything like that on these. These do appear to be 100% copies of their Austrian counterparts, just obviously with a different roll mark on there. And while we're on that, you will also see, instead of having the little Glock logo proof mark, we now have an outline of Georgia, because these are made. And this is another fun thing about this being made in the U.S. I'm always showing you guns that are made in some other country, and I'm trying to read, the writing, and it's just impossible. So luckily I won't have the problem here. So like I said, these are made in Georgia and are you freaking kidding me? Smyrna? Am I just stupid? Is this an obvious name that once I hear it, I'm going to be like, oh my God, I had no clue it was spelt that way. What the hell? The one time I thought I'd have no issues pronouncing the name where a gun was made. What's going on, Georgia? So Smyrna, yeah, you've heard of Smyrna peaches. Those are world known. Anyways, made in Georgia. You got the little Georgia outline proof mark. Also, we have that on the barrel as well, along with the US mark that I'm pretty sure are not on the Austrian made models. So what you get with this, because I'm not used to getting a gun with an actual gun case and instructions, all my crap is surplus. You get the hard case. You get one flush 6-round magazine, which handling this, I don't know how to explain it other than it being just kind of cute. Like the little bottles of Tabasco sauce and you're handling them and you're just like, oh, that's cute. I don't care how manly you are. The little bottles of Tabasco sauce are cute. I get the same vibe off of these little 43 mags. Anyways, get your hard case. I already pulled these out. You also get another 6-round mag with a pinky extension. Yes, exact same capacity with a pinky extension. And that's one of my major gripes on this. Glock should have just made this a +1. Aftermarket, you can get little pinky extensions that are a +1 that are essentially the same length as this. They come out a little bit more in the back, but that's it. And there's a huge market of mag extensions for these. You also get a little loader. I will say I noticed the very first time I loaded these mags up, they were extremely stiff, and I actually had to use this for like the last 1 or 2 rounds. Now I did load it and unload it a few times, just kind of try to get those springs broken. And after doing that maybe 3 times, I don't know if I just got used to it, was no longer scared I was going to break it, or if they finally loosened up a little bit. But I no longer need this guy to top off these mags. So that is nice. So you get the 2 6-round mags, 1 flush, 1 with the pinky extension, the mag loader. Then, of course, you get your generic key lock. You do get a bore brush. And, yeah, I was going to say there's a cleaning rod here somewhere. There we go. A little cleaning rod, which I found interesting. And then, of course, the little envelope with your manual instructions and all of that jazz. So, that's what you get with it. We'll put the extension one in there now so you can all see what that looks like. So like I said, so far, I haven't shot it yet. Now, I do have a buddy, Nate. He had purchased one of these. And I'd actually shot that, and I was really impressed with how accurate it was. And it didn't really feel whippy. It's like, for me, and I can't remember what we were shooting. I believe they were hollow point self-defense, so they might have been loaded a little hot. But I feel like it was just like on that line of feeling too whippy for the grip size. And I cannot remember if we were using the pinky extension or the flush fit, or if we were going back and forth. It was a couple of years ago. But I was really impressed with the accuracy out of this guy. Like I said, the barrel is just under 3.5 inches. So I enjoyed that. Then another buddy of mine had one of these briefly. And remember, I was just handling it. I was just really impressed at exactly how thin it was. And so then I finally decided to go ahead and get one. The other complaint I have on this gun are these crappy ass sights. I mean, they're decent sights, especially compared to my surplus. They're amazing sights. They are plastic, which honestly, to me, that's not a huge thing. I don't plan on, me dropping this or beating it up too much.
Obviously, metal would be nice just in case. But the thing that really kills me is that they don't come with night sights. I mean, you are not buying this gun for an all-day, range toy. This gun is going to be carried, and so I do feel like they should have at least put some basic night sights on there. That being said, that is definitely one of the things I am going to upgrade on this. Still kind of deciding on which sights to get. And I'm probably going to do the Streamlight TLR6 just to have the light on there. I've never used a laser on a gun, so I'm not sure how much I'll use that side of it. And also, just so you know, I did already get these mags. So I'll do a review on these. These are ETS mags. These have an extreme love-hate relationship on the internet. This is a flush fit mag, but it actually fits 7 rounds rather than 6, which is interesting. And then obviously this is an extended mag, and that is 12 rounds. My idea on this isn't even going to be a backup mag. This is my range mag. Obviously I'm going to use the other mags, make sure they work. This might end up, if it proves itself worthy, might be a mag that I carry, because I do like the flush fit mag on this. Like I said, that's the main reason I ended up going with just the standard 43 instead of the X. I've got some friends, like I said, that are big into Glocks, know a lot more about Glocks than I do, and they're all just kind of like, why did you not get the freaking 43X? Even local shops, I was calling around trying to find a 43. And like a few of them are like, well, we've got the 43X though, it's better, And not that I don't think it's better, it's just I need, the ability to get this guy as small as possible. You can't go that short of a grip with the 43X. Now, if you're going to get one of these and you think you're always going to be using an extended magazine base plate, then you're an idiot if you don't get the 43X, because that's essentially what that is. But you're getting a little bit more ammo capacity in the length as well. It is a little bit thicker in the grip. Another reason I went with this, I was really looking at the SIG. It's completely leaving my brain right. It wasn't the 365, their little itty bitty 9mm with the faux single double stack mag. And that one, it looks like the grip is just a hair thicker. Now keep in mind you're getting a crap ton more rounds for that hair thicker grip. But just from what I've been used to carrying, I still wanted the thinner one. So let's get on to that, explain why I have no issues with this just being a 6-round mag. And I am kind of looking at some things to possibly up that to, 7 or 8. But I started carrying a Polish P64. Now, I no longer have that gun. I sold it to a friend of mine. I do have a video on it, and I go over the fact that I had started carrying that once my state went to constitutional carry. And it's a great thin gun. I mean, it's about the size of this, maybe even a little bit thinner. It's chambered in 9x18 Makarov, so that's still a very hardy round. It's maybe just a little bit hotter than a 380, but still preferably I would like to at least get a 9mm. The other disadvantages to that gun is all steel. It wasn't even an aluminum frame. It was all steel. So although it was small, it was extremely heavy. And it was so small, it was very easy for me to get a inside the waistband hybrid holster for it, which was very convenient. And I love that holster. But also it didn't have the best trigger. I changed out the springs and ended up making the double action bearable. Like, honestly, the double action before, it's the heaviest double action you have ever pulled. It was ridiculous. But I put in a spring that made the double action bearable, but the downside is the single action trigger. Man, I'm not kidding you. If you just breathed on it or looked at it intensely enough, it was going off. It was a super light trigger. I wish I had my trigger pull gauge when I had that gun. So it was kind of a crappy situation there. And so I had sold that gun with the sole intent of getting a proper modern carry gun. And then I just kept seeing shiny objects and getting those instead. And with my collection, I was like, well, I've got some stuff to fall back on. So then what I started doing was I went from one Makarov to another Makarov. So the Polish P64 is not really Makarov. This is a Bulgarian Makarov, Once again, this holds like 7 or 8 rounds. Not a high round count. Still fairly thick. We'll just do a little comparison here for you guys. See, it's still thicker than the Glock. And once again, it's all steel construction. So, not horribly heavy, but comparatively with modern carry guns, it's very heavy. And it's still in that 9x18 Makarov round. And that bugged me. So then, I started carrying my Spanish Star BM. Once again, this is a very small gun. Pretty easy to carry, concealed. But once again, it's an all-steel construction. Now, I am finally able to shoot 9. And this holds, oh man. Once again, I think like 6 or 7 rounds. So not a very high round count. Sights like the Makarov leave lots to be desired. But you can still see, and this is not a full-size 1911. This is kind of like a mid-size copy of a 1911. But you can just see how much larger it is compared to this guy. And so the weight just started bugging me. So then I started carrying my Beretta 85F. Now we're getting a little bit more modern because it's at least an alloy frame and not a steel frame. And let me tell you, just going from a steel frame to an alloy frame on a carry, this thing felt so freaking light. And at first I was like, oh yeah, I'll have no problem. I'll just carry this. Once again, we're in 380, not 9mm. So that was kind of a bummer, but with modern 380 rounds, it wasn't really that huge of a deal to me, to be honest. Because modern 380 defensive rounds are actually pretty decent. The thing I don't like about this is once I started carrying it, I started taking it to the range again so I could refamiliarize myself with this, and I kind of forgot. This gun is decently accurate, but it's not the most accurate in the world to me. And I think it shoots like way to the right or way to the left, and that just bugs the hell out of me. So that was the downside. Then I even got lazy and taking my dog out for walks. I am guilty of just throwing this guy in my pocket as a Stava M70, which is chambered in 32 ACP. Definitely going the wrong direction. Now this guy is very nice and thin. Actually might be thinner than our Glock here. Pretty close. But it's pretty darn heavy because we are all steel construction. And obviously having a 32 ACP round for your carry round is not ideal. So recently, I finally decided just to make the move, get the modern carry gun. I knew I liked the way these handled. I knew I liked the way they shot. So yeah, finally I got a modern carry gun. So I'm going to include you guys in on this journey with me getting the gun. Taking it to the range, I'm going to send quite a few rounds through it. Might do a video just on the range feedback, I'm not sure. Obviously, I will be updating you as I go through and do some modifications to this gun. I do not plan on getting too crazy with it. I'm going to keep it fairly stock. Like I said, the sights are just a must upgrade on this gun. And then I'm going to get the TLR6 Lite. Maybe the laser will come of use to me. We'll find out once I use that. I'm going to try, obviously, the ETS mags and some different magazine extension base plates. Play around with that a little bit. I can see myself using a +1. But I still like the option of the flat fit mags. Also believe there's a company out there called Mag Guts that take the original Glock mag and they just change out the follower and the spring. And then what you end up with is something kind of like the ETS mag where it's flush fitting, but you get 7 rounds rather than just 6. So I'm going to buy a few more Glock factory mags and do some kind of mods like that to those. See where those get me. I'll keep you guys updated on all that. And then also I've got to go on the hunt to find a good hybrid holster that works with the TLR6 that I like. So there are my reasons as to why I got my gun. The Glock 43 here, finally, years later than everybody else. So that's all I've got for you guys in this video. I hope you found it informative, or at the very least maybe a little bit entertaining. If you did like this video, please think about liking and subscribing. Have a good one, stay safe, and stay shiny.